got all out there, make the whole people there. And what is the fun? And catch on again. And we go along. Building, building, if we all been together, if we have each other.
All right, good evening, everyone. Notice you're not hearing me, Ken. My mic is showing that I'm telecasting or broadcasting. Can someone? I need somebody to type in this feed whether or not you're hearing me now. Okay, testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. Let me cut the volume up there. Okay, Cheryl, thank you very much. So you can hear my voice clearly? All right, great, great, great. We're going to go ahead and get started this evening. Let me shift some things around here. Okay, got a couple people on YouTube. Good evening to the YouTube audience. Welcome to this special edition of Solutions for Living. Let me get this squared away here. I hope you all had a wonderful day. I did. So I hope you did too. So I'm going to end the testing, so you guys should be hearing me clearly. Clearly, I see all of you. Good evening to those of you who are joining me in the Zoom room. I can see you there in your chats. Go ahead and place any chats you want to place there. And we're going to get started. Let me see if this is going to work properly tonight. 1 second here. So I'm going to start by sharing my screen. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, you should see my screen. No, I don't want to do that. Let me do this. I'm gonna share my screen, but I'm gonna share only what I want you to see, which will be that. And I'm gonna hit share. And then I'm going to play. See if that works. Let's see if that works. Okay. Let me see now. So now I can't see your feed, but let me give me a second here. I'm trying to get this to all work together. I'm gonna come out, exit the share. Then I'm going to go that route. Okay, good deal. So I can't see. I was hoping I could actually see your any comments that you're making. So let me try it one more time because I want to get that. No, that's not working like I wanted to. So let me come back out. And we're just gonna go like this. Thank you for bearing with me. All this new technology. Uh, okay, I want to share the screen. I want to share. Let me see. I think that's what I want to share. Let's see what happens. Okay, I think that works. Awesome. Let me see if I see my chat. Okay, good. That's what I want. I got it going. Awesome. Excellent. Good evening, everyone. For those who are watching on the screen this evening, can you let me know if you see the actual webinar chat live on my screen, or are you just looking at my screen? Can somebody help me out with that? And we're gonna get ready to get started this evening. Okay, every Cheryl says everything looks good. So you should not see my webinar, my chat feed like I'm typing something there. You should not see it. So you may see your own personal, but I'm thinking you're just seeing solely the presentation on the screen. Okay, I'm gonna assume that you are, and we're gonna go ahead and get started this evening. I want to welcome all of you to this evening's presentation. Um, and I'm dealing with the 72-hour manifestation. Some of you may have heard of the 72-hour manifestation cycle, and others may have not. Well, I am out here this evening, hopefully speaking to those of you who have not. My objective tonight is to explore this principle of the 72-hour manifestation cycle. And we're going to look at it from the metaphysical, psychological, and the science of it, while also providing you an actionable techniques that you can participate in. So that's really important tonight, that you are open to receive. So my question tonight is, have you ever set an intention or felt certain and that it was on the way after you've set an intention, only to maybe wake up and the next day and you feel a lot of doubt, or maybe you started wondering, did I do something wrong, or did I miss a step? Or perhaps you noticed that something something that's coming to you comes effortlessly. That is not taking a lot of effort, while other things are taking a lot of effort. Um, and so on, and it may even feel like it's taking forever. So we want to begin to look at that tonight. We want to begin to look at that. So have you felt that before? It's the question I like to start with. If you felt that before, just go ahead and drop a yes so I can see you're tracking with me. So this evening, we're going to look at aligning thought, beliefs, and actions to manifestation. We're going to look at a powerful framework to transform our desires into reality, and intentional practice and alignment. And the word here, the operative word, is intentional. A lot of times we're doing things, but we're not deliberate and intentional. But I believe if you want to be a spiritual scientist, you got to learn to be deliberate and intentional in the things that you do. So we're gonna go through that this evening. Let me see if this is my slides are gonna move forward. Let me see here. I'm trying to take to my next slide, and I'm using another program. I don't know why my slide is not advancing. Let me see here. Okay, good. There you go. I think I found out why. So let's start right here. So this evening is another session I want to present that's transformational in nature. Here in Solutions for Living, we're all about not just solutions, but solutions. We want to align our lives with our spiritual essence. So this is our sacred space and time that we've set aside to explore these deep truths and come up with some practical insights. So when we look here, the question is, have you ever felt stuck in manifestation? A lot of people have felt stuck, have given up this whole conversation about manifestation. And a lot of it's due to they're not getting the outcomes. They are actually feeling stuck. They've set an intention and they're clear about it, and they may feel excited about it, only for the next day or the next moment for doubt to creep in. And then you are experiencing what I like to call uncertainty, and hesitation begins. And the word talks about a double-minded person. So this is where doubt is in operation. When you become double-minded, you what you've really done is you press the pause button on your creative process. Manifestation begins to stall. Your progress seems to come to a halt. And that's despite your initial enthusiasm. So a lot of times people give up on this whole concept of being creators, this whole concept of being able to bring things into fruition just by speaking them into existence. And then they go back to working or laboring to make things happen. But I want to tell you that the principles, they work if we work them. Okay. And they work because we work them. So that's something we want to really be aware of. If you're not working the principles, then guess what? Don't expect them to work for you. Okay, my next slide, please. I got it to go before. Let me see here. What is going on here? I'm sorry about this. Okay. Let's see if that's gonna be the solution. So we're out here every week. Let me put this back. Okay, I'm kind of thrown off here a little bit this evening because of this program. It's a web-based program and it's not moving the way I would expect it to operate. So every week on either Tuesday or Wednesday, we're out here. And today's focus, again, is understanding the 72-hour manifestation cycle. We're going to move through that. And so let's see if I can get to the next slide. Okay. All right, good. So I think I've kind of figured it out. So what is the 72-hour manifestation cycle? So we first of all understand 72 hours is actually 3 days. And so this process is a process that if you follow it, it's that within 3 days, you should actually get the thing that you desire. You say, wait a minute, you're telling me in 72 hours, I'm going to have in the material world the thing that I have desired. No, actually, this is the 72-hour period of working, planting, sowing, or planting, cultivating, doing what you need to do so that way you can move out of that 72 and move into living as if it's already happened and you're not even concerned about that anymore. So that's when we talk about the 72 hours, we're talking about the cycle in a natural process. That is how desires move from thought to reality. Remember, we create from the invisible to the visible, and it unfolds in 3 distinct phases. Or so if you look here on the screen at the very top, it's the setting the intention. Okay, the setting of the intention includes getting clear on what it is you desire to see manifested in your life. Clearly define what you desire to experience. Very few people spend time in this. Remember, I told you about how a carpenter always measures twice and cuts once. So it's like the beginning phase, you being sure on what it is you desired. Because what happens when we speak one desire and then a competing desire, the universe looks at those are as canceling out. If they don't cancel out, both things go on pause. So the first day is day one is setting the intention. And that's what we want to focus on here. Planting the seed of desire and claiming it as done. The moment you speak it, it is done. That correlates with the scripture that in John 1, it says, in the beginning, it says that all things that were created, there's no thing that ever was created that first wasn't created by the creative word or the seed. Everything that we see comes out of our imaginings. So when we imagine something, we think that thing, and ultimately we speak that thing. So that's the process we got to be familiar with. So this on the second step, or the day two, is you strengthen your belief. We're talking about overcoming doubt, aligning with new reality. So you're overcoming doubt because you're watering it. You know that the seed has been planted, that is going to begin to germinate in due season. And then on the third day, or the 70, within that third day, which is the 72-hour culmination period, you begin to integrate it into your life as you embody the reality of your manifestation. Now, you might ask, why 72 hours? And that's a good question. Why is it that we go into 72 hours? There's three reasons. There's a spiritual significance, psychological basis for it, and then the quantum perspective. This time frame isn't random. It mirrors spiritual cycles, psychological transformation, and even quantum shifts. And that's what we're wanting to explore this evening. Is there something you've been trying to manifest that feels stuck? If it is, go ahead and drop a word or a phrase in the chat that represents what you're working on. Okay, because I want to make it kind of practical. So when we look at the spiritual significance, the 3-day transformation principle appears in many traditions. Include the resurrection stories, like when we look at the story of the death, burial, resurrection of Christ. That was a 3-day period, and many people look at that as a literal story or a literal thing that happens on it. And if you buy into that, and it's not about questioning that, but even if you buy into it, it was 3 days for this thing to manifest. But for me, it's more of hitting principles that something has to be cultivated over a 72-hour period for it to come into manifestation. And so that's something I want you to begin to consider. Now, the psychological basis is when we talk about neuroplasticity. That is, science is coming to tell us that our brains have a lot of plasticity to it, or the neurological structures. And research is showing us that the brain can begin rewiring beliefs within 72 hours of focused intention. Now, this is why I'm talking about this evening, because what we find ourselves doing is we keep rehearsing thoughts that are not representing our highest and greatest good. We hold on to beliefs that do not represent our highest and greatest good. So if we change our beliefs and we change our thoughts, and we can do that and hold that for a 72-hour period, you have a greater chance of rewiring your brain, for one, and two, seeing the manifestation of the thing desired. Now, when we talk about the quantum perspective, here we see is focused thought collapses quantum possibilities into tangible reality through the observer effect. Now, let me help you with that. A couple weeks ago, I talked about the field. Now, imagine you are laying on your bed or you're laying out in a field on a nice warm night, and if you're looking up in the sky or into the dark sky, you will see stars everywhere. So imagine that star-filled sky as the quantum field. I want to use this as an example. And every star represents a different possibility. And all of those stars exist right now. But you can only bring one of those possibilities into reality by focusing on it and causing it to collapse. So whatever shows up in our lives is a result of a focus. And because of the focus, it's like you pull that thing into existence. And so when we talk about the quantum perspective, that's how we operate. There are so many potentialities that can play out in your life. And many times, because we have so many choices, we don't make a choice. But by default, we're always making a choice. So if you don't choose wealth, but by default, you have a conversation going subliminally all the time around lack and not enough, guess what's collapsing into your life? As a man thinks, or as a man focuses, so is he. So that's really important that we understand this foundation. So let's break down these 3 phases so you can start working them consciously. All right. So we're going to look at phase 1 or day 1, the first 24 hours. And that has to do with setting your intentions. You want to think from the wish fulfilled. You don't just visualize, let's say, money, but you see yourself spending it. Okay. When it comes to the emotional piece, is the secret ingredient. Your imagination is the blueprint, but your feelings is the foundation. So the first thing we're going to start with is visualize, coming to a complete visualization picture. You see your desire as already accomplished. Feel the satisfaction. Now you're moving into emotional alignment. Remember, we talked about if you don't have the resonance with something, it won't become resident in your life. So you got to have the resonance. Okay. Many times you may have a resonance with the person, only to come to find out that resonance or that person don't hold that frequency deliberately and intentionally or run it all the time. And now you guys are like oil and water, because you have to check for resonance. And resonance is not checked on a one-time basis. So if you want to really know if someone is on your frequency, you got to check out how frequently they do the things that align with that frequency, which emits a resonance. And so when we talk about day 1, we're talking about being clear on what it is we desire, setting the intention through having a complete visualization. You see it as if it's already done. You see it as complete. You don't see it unfolding. You don't see it growing. You don't see it expanding. You see it in its final state. And the more you pull your sensory self into this process of imagining, your emotional self will begin to align with it. Just like if you have a fear, if you focus on something and then the fear begins to grow, most of us can identify with that. The same thing, if you can focus on what it is you are desiring, your emotions ultimately will align with it. So what you're doing is you're pairing your thoughts with corresponding emotions. Like when you get, like I have a speaker here, it's a wireless speaker. And if I ever want to play that speaker and attach to any one of my devices, all I have to do is pair my iPhone with the speaker, and so they get on the same frequency, and the speaker now is playing what I have on my iPhone. And the same thing. So we got to pair our thoughts with corresponding emotions. So you got to know what emotions align with the thing desired. Then you learn how to feel how you would feel if it were true. Notice that. If you're not resonating with it, then it's not true. You can affirm all day long, and many people become frustrated because they have these affirmations that they make, but there's no emotional alignment with it. So, present tense affirmations. So, you want to speak as if your desire exists now. Example, you speak in I am states. They create powerful neural patterns. Okay, so a neural pattern is a pathway that you begin to wear, and it's the pathway that attracts the things that is desired. So instead of saying I will get a new job, you'll say I am grateful for my perfect opportunity that has already found me. See how you got to soften it up. You don't want to make it too rigid. You don't have to know how, when, or why. You just say, okay. Many people say, I will get a new job. I want a new job. That is saying that the new job is not here yet. It's still in the field. But when you begin to say, I am grateful for my perfect opportunity that has already found me, now the universe goes to work to find you. Let me give you a seed analogy. Think of setting an intention like planting a seed. When you plant a seed, you don't dig it up the next day to check and see if it's growing. Or at least I don't. Would you agree with that? You trust that the soil is doing its job. That's exactly how manifestation works. Once you set your intention, your only job is to nurture and not question it. Now, what's one intention you can set right now? Perhaps drop it in the chat in the present tense. Or if you have a notebook, you write it in the present tense. Would you say I am? Or would you say I have? Or are you saying I will? Okay. So you want to make sure your intention is set properly. Now, setting an intention, that's really the easy part. But what happens when doubt creeps in? When life starts throwing obstacles, or life starts lifing? Or what happens when contrasts begin to increase? This is where the real work begins. So let's talk about that. Okay, that's the next 24-hour period. Day 2. What we're looking at here is strengthening our belief. Okay, the word says, it is done unto you as you believe. So we want to understand this. Doubt is a sign your reality is breaking down. So anytime you have doubt, it's a sign, and you want to get to it as early as possible. You don't want to feed the doubt. Okay, so you see the doubt is an initial sign. Now, we are human. You're gonna have doubt until you begin to find clout in this whole process. The more you work it, the more it will work for you expeditiously. Okay, so doubt is a signal your old reality is breaking down. Okay, the next thing you want to look at is your subconscious listens to your dominant thought. That's why you have to be cognizant or aware of what your dominant thought is. Because what happens when you are thinking a thought, but you don't know that thought is being played, it is going down into your program. That's why it's a good idea to take a break and check in with your mind, okay? See what's been going on in the recesses of your thought processes, not just go through the whole day and let your mind run rampant. So you got to learn to shift the dialogue. You want to replace uncertainty with faith and certainty. When you're feeling fearful, or when the reality of the situation appears to be growing, that's when you take your affirmation cards out and you begin to affirm. That's when you step back into the seed that has been sown, and you know that any seed that is sown properly will grow. So you got to be always in day 2 ready to shift the dialogue. Then we got the welcoming of the resistance. And here's what I'm talking about is challenges are part of the reorganization process. Challenges strengthen you. Now, let's use the thermostat that you see there on the wall as an example. Think of a belief like setting a thermostat. If you set it to 75 degrees, your home system automatically adjusts the temperature. But if you keep changing the setting, turning it up, then turning it down, you disrupt the process. Your subconscious mind works the same way. Once you set your belief, you have to trust it adjusts according to the things, it adjusts to the things that's going on behind the scenes. I'll give you a good example. So in my condo, and I use it because it's not huge. So when if I open my door, and let's say it's very cool in the hallway, and a draft comes in, now when I close the door, depending on if that draft cooled the room cooler than I desired it to be, it's going to kick on my thermostat. If I have my heat set to 74 and enough cool air came in here that it dropped the temperature to 72, the thermostat is set to automatically go to work without me having to go over and cut the thermostat on. Now, you may not know that if you have never set your thermostat to auto. If you just have your thermostat on, that means your furnace is working, or air conditioning is working overtime. Even when the room gets to the desired temperature, it's continue to work. So we have to realize that our beliefs are like thermostats. If we set the right beliefs, it's going to cause the right things to happen in our lives. Okay. Now, drop a word in the chat. What's one belief you need to strengthen today? It could be in the area of healing. It could be in the area of wealth. It could be in the area of health. It could be in the area of relationship, employment, in an area that's something you desire it, been desiring it for a long time, but it's not showing up. Then I want you to consider that as something you need to work on. So you got to recognize doubt, shift your dialogue, welcome resistance. Like a thermostat, once it's set, you got to trust the system to adjust. That's why we say the universe conspires with me, that it works with me. Let's all be cognizant of that. Okay. So when you hold onto belief and you stay aligned, something incredible happens. Your subconscious takes over and it starts working for you, through you. So let's talk about what happens in the second 24-hour period. Day 3, this is what I would call the integration. When we're integrating, and this is more of the scientific foundation. So when we're looking at day 3, we're looking at embody the feeling. Here we're talking about the sensory self of live as if your desire is already yours. And notice I have an I there. So when I'm saying you got to caution against living as if it's done based on what you see. You got to live as if it's done based on what you've seen. That is based on the invisible realm, not the visible realm. That's important. It's important that we realize that we can't just walk according to sight, but we have to walk according to faith. Now, when we're talking about the neuroscience of this thing, we understand that thoughts create neural pathways. That's that next piece here. You got to trust your subconscious. You got to allow your deeper mind to work behind the scenes. That is why we are making affirmations. That's why we are revisiting this in our mind's eye, because what we're doing is we're putting that neural pathway to work. So thoughts create neural pathways, new ones, like trails in a forest. And this is also where the quantum physics comes into play. When we have our focused attention, it selects reality. Remember, we talked about collapsing the thing desired into the reality? That is, when we focus our attention, there's a selection being made. And it's almost like adjusting a lens on a camera, because you're focusing on it, and finally it comes into clear view and you snap the shot. So you got to embody the feeling. So that's what you're working on in the 3rd day. You're trusting, you're aligning with the truth, knowing that your deeper mind is working for you behind the scene. Now, in this 3rd day is when you want to give it up. You want to release the attachment. That is, you're no longer stopping looking around, checking for results. You are allowing manifestation to flow naturally. Good example, when a farmer sows a seed, it may be 7 days, 14 days, and in some cases, depends on what he's sowing before he actually sees it. But he goes about his business. So at the end of this the 72-hour period, we should be ready to let it go and let it grow. Say that with me right now. I'm going to let it go and watch it grow. Okay, this is where you want to get to. So after 3 days, you should stop worrying about it, because that thing should be growing. So let's take a moment right now and just have an affirming prayer around this conversation. So right where you are, I just want you to take a big breath in, hold the breath, now release it. Take another breath in slowly, and as you breathe in slowly, just simply close your eyes. Now exhale. And with your eyes closed, continue to breathe in and out as I speak this affirming prayer. Divine Creator, source of infinite potential, we step into this moment with full awareness that we are the architects of our reality. We align our thoughts, our emotions, and our actions with the highest good that is already unfolding in our lives. We release right here, right now, all doubt, all hesitations, and all fears. We stand firm in the knowing that what we seek is already ours. The vision we hold is not a distant dream, but a present reality awaiting recognition. We declare that our manifestations are on divine timing. We do not chase, we align. We do not worry, we trust. We do not question, we affirm. Everything is working in our favor. And every delay is simply divine preparation. So we embrace this 72-hour cycle of creation. Our intention is set, our belief is unwavering, our reality is shifting. We now walk in the fullness of our desires, knowing they are already fulfilled. And so it is. Amen. Ashe. Awesome. 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 Let me reinforce that a little bit more. What we've been covering in this third day, just help you understand the science behind manifestation. So at the very bottom of the pyramid, you see emotional coherence. Your emotions amplify through vibrations. And that vibration frequency is that which brings manifestation. Anything that is in your life now is there because you are in resonance with it. Can you guys understand that? You are in resonance with it. And because you're in resonance with, it's like when you say, I can feel that. You know, some people say, I can see that. But when somebody says, I can feel that, that means they're in resonance. It's deeper than seeing. You can say, I see that. There's a potential. When you say, I feel that, there's a reality. So we have to become heart-based people. We must begin to live our lives understanding that emotions are part of this thing we call the game of life. But we have to understand how to harness the emotions, that they're not reactive, but responding. My emotions respond to the deliberate and intentional words I speak versus my emotions are hijacked by what I see. Now, when we talk about neural pathways, basically, without getting into the deepness of the science of this thing, your thoughts create patterns like trails in the wood. And when you get a pattern there, it's easier to go there. But when you are blazing a path, you have to move things out the way and you got to keep going over it until a path is worn. And when the path is worn, it's easy to go to grandma's house. But when the path is fresh, it takes a lot. So early on, it takes a little more. But if you take your time and do it properly, you are setting the path to your success. So you're creating new neural pathways. When you can begin to walk according to I'm divinely created, and therefore I walk in divine health. That doesn't say you won't have some incidents, but it says that if you have a situation, expeditiously it can change because of the thought that goes with that. Now, quantum reality, the top of the pyramid. Quantum reality says focused attention selects from infinite possibilities. Remember, you're lying in the field, looking up in the starlit, dark night sky, and you see a star. It says, it doesn't say, I wish upon the stars. Isn't it? I wish upon a star. Because you select what it is you desire. And the more you are focused on the thing desired, You collapse it into reality. That makes sense? You bring it forward. And that's what manifestation is all about. You are bringing it forward from the invisible to the visible realm. And that's what we're called to do, to bring things forward, to bring them from the, the, the state of the imagined to the reality of this material world. That's important. All right. All right. Good. I hope you're getting that. Now, the affirmation that we've had. I've given you one, but let's do one short one together. Here you see, we got to take time to be still and to know, and to know that there's a light that shines from within all of us, and to know that no matter what comes, what storms roll through our lives, that storms don't stick and stay. They are always on their way. So let's affirm this together. I'll state it once, and then let's affirm it together twice. I align my thoughts, emotions, and actions with the highest good. I release doubt, knowing my desires are already fulfilled. My manifestation unfolds perfectly, and I trust divine timing. Let's do that together. I align my thoughts, emotions, and actions with the highest good. I release doubt, knowing my desires are already fulfilled. My manifestation unfolds perfectly, and I trust divine timing. This is an affirmation that you can take, put on a card, and when you're having challenges, which you're going to have until you get used to operating in this fashion, you just pull the card out and you begin to affirm that thing. That's something you can do. You got to take on some practices that's going to make a difference. So, our final reflection and call to action. I want you to begin to get quiet, take some time, and set some goals. Okay? Don't just haphazardly set goals based on what's going on outside of you, but you get quiet and ask Source, the universe, God, however you see it, and you apply this framework for your next manifestation. Choose one thing and put it to work. You want to be mindful of how you move through each stage. So you want to be aware, you want to be present, you want to navigate. You don't want to go through the phases. If you're having a difficult time early on, start over. Okay, let me go back to day one. Until you ultimately, it may take you 9 days to get to the 3-day process. It may take you 12 days. Okay, that's the way. What I'm saying, you've cycled through it 3 times. I mean, 4 times you cycle through it because there's 3 phases to this. Don't rush the process. Don't move until it's been moved on, until you are in resonance with it. And then you want to trust the process. Don't rush the process. Say that with me. I'm going to trust the process and not rush the process. Manifestation is not about forcing. It's not about making something happen. It is just about doing it. It's about alignment. It's about resonance. That's what it's all about. So I challenge you all this week to consider that. A lot of people are having difficult times because they don't want to work the process, but it works if you work it. So I want to thank each of you for your presence, for your participation. You make this community special. So this is Solutions for Living. So understanding the 72-hour process is one of these solutions to manifestation. Now, you can join me every Sunday for Solution Sunday seminars, where we discover soul-centered strategies to unlock your divine potential. Everybody has potential. You got some potential. You have some potential. We all have divine potential. And within our Sunday seminars, we have teachings that are transformative and practical that you can use to live your best life, to master this thing called life. So I'm encouraging you all, if you haven't had the opportunity to join me on a Sunday, shoot me an email. I'll make sure you're in the text system, the email system, and I will gladly open the door for you to be part of those teachings. Now, new beginnings. Your manifestation journey is just beginning. This is going to be a way to change your whole life. You're going to begin to see things differently. You're going to begin to relax into life. You're going to begin to release. You're going to begin to flow. You're going to begin to seek resonance with. So I encourage all of you. So as we prepare to bring tonight to a close, let's go and get ready to go into the green room. So in the green room, we spent some time talking about what changes are already noticing from today's session. Have you experienced this cycle before without realizing it? Have you gone through this planting the seed, cultivating the seed, celebrating the seed cycle? What will you commit to over the next 3 days? So if you're with us tonight, you need to drop off the line, you can go ahead and drop off. Or if you're with us tonight and you perhaps want to participate in this conversation, stick around and let's have that conversation. If this teaching has been a blessing for you and it's been a lesson for you and you want to sow a seed into this, to the work that I'm doing, feel free to do that. You can use the business phone number, which is 708-368-1076. Let me say that one more time, 708-368-1076. You could put that into the browser of your Cash App or your Zelle. If you put that there, that phone number, and that will get your seed sown into the right place. So I want to thank all of you who are continue to support what I do. And so let's step into the green room. Let me see here. I'll go into the green room and get a conversation going this evening. All right, I'm going to stop the share and bring us back live. All right, it's good to see those of you who are still with me. I see we do have a number of people on the YouTube channel this evening. And I hope something has been said that has been uplifting and encouraging. And I say good evening. I'm gonna type that in to you guys who are over here in the YouTube room watching. Again, good evening to you. And you can place your comment to me by typing it right into that chat box right there on YouTube. Now, if you're on the Zoom channel this evening, go ahead and you put your hand up and I'll see you and we'll get started. So the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to bring everybody, give you the ability to be live. Let me see how I'm going to do that. So I'm going to allow everybody to talk. So that's going to bring everybody on the screen. You can open up your screen if you want to. You don't have to. But I got everybody out here. And I do see one hand is up. Al, you have the mic.
Good evening, Brother Sar. I think the main thing that
Okay, let me make sure Al is unmuted. Al, you have the mic. Just go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hello.
Let me see if I mute you and unmute you. See if I can ask to unmute. There you go, Al.
Hello.
I'm not sure what's going on. Somebody else want to try it? See.
Can you hear us?
We can hear Al. We can.
All right, Myrna, I guess you're unmuted there. Go ahead.
We were able to hear Al,
Cheryl,
but
you unmuted.
Well, go ahead, Myrna.
What I was
Oh,
just gonna,
one second. Let me
I
see
don't think
if
he
there's
can
something
hear
going on
us.
with my mic system here.
Yeah, it's your.
Let me take you to
Let me
all right,
see.
let's try it now. There you go. Al, and then we'll come to Myrna, and then I'll come to Cheryl.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, there you go. Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay, good. The thing that I took from it is that we have to get our attention from our head to our heart. Is that right?
That's right. That's right. We actually you live from the heart. We just automatically have our intentions and everything done from the head because we are so accustomed to walking from the sensory realm. And the sensory realm is aligned with the sight, sound, taste, touch. All of those things are aligned through our spinal system.
Our culture tells us that we can't sit there touching it on this.
There you go. I muted you out, Cheryl. You was unmuted. You're muted now. Can you see that, Al? So your sensory self is focused in your head. Your spiritual self is focused in the heart. And the heart self, everything that the physical self has, the spiritual self has. So when you look in Genesis chapter 1, where man was created, in Genesis chapter 1, man, male and female, were created as spiritual beings. And they had eyes, ears. I mean, they had the ability to see, hear, all of those things from another dimension. They didn't do it from the dimension of material world. But then when man was dropped into the material world, that's when man he descended. Part of the descending had to do with he now began to live according to the sensory self versus having a balance. So you got to have a balance. You have to learn to walk not by sight, but by spirit. You got to understand that so your sensory self just lets you know when the physical self is in trouble. Okay. So your senses let you know that's hot. So you celebrate, my senses do work, but I don't allow my senses to guide me. They may alert me. Does that make a difference?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, good. Let me see here. Anybody else got something? Myrna, you made a statement there. You want to chime in with that?
Sure. I first have to say, well, first of all, thank you. And I'm being very transparent and because I was answering the questions in the chat as you were asking them during the session in terms of what it is that I desire and that I have desired. And I've gone through these steps before.
Mhm.
And I don't know what I'm not doing or what I am doing that's wrong. I don't know. Um, um, and so I'm thoughtful of doing it the right way. And because it absolutely is my desire to have the resources in order to be able to do what God has called me to do. And so the I've always focused on what I'm supposed to be doing and never necessarily thought about the funding of it. Now it's like, oh no, this needs to, the funds are absolutely needed
Mhm.
for it to be what has been shown to me. And so it's like, okay, so where is that? And where is that going to come from? And how is that going to come about? Um, and I realized not to focus on the how. I know all of that. And so um, yeah, it's not for lack of doing and operating and being. And so it's a little can't say it's frustrating. It's just okay. I'm ready to put it into action. It's like, okay, because I don't know what I'm not doing right. And I don't know what I'm doing that's wrong.
Had your child ever say to you, "Mom, you doing too much"?
Oh yeah.
Okay, that's God telling you the same thing. Too often we focus on doing instead of being. I want you to think about that.
Oh, I have. That's not a new concept.
Okay, good. So one of the things that we are so goal driven that we're always doing something. But one of the things we miss out in this whole manifestation process, be still and know. What can you quote that scripture? How would you
Absolutely. Be still and know. And I do that too.
Finish it.
That know that I am God.
Okay, say that again.
Be still and know that I am God.
Now break that down for me, please, if you will.
That God's got it under control.
Okay, so from hearing that, you, like so many of us, are interpreting it as that there's a God somewhere else that has it under control. But let's read it like this: be still and know that I am God. Now, somebody may have a problem with that. So let's start it like this: I and the Father are one. So if you and the Father are one, or you and God are one, is God more like you, or are you more like God? I would say that when we become one, then we are one. We are God. I must decrease that the God in me can increase. And when the God in me increases, and the world, the part of me that's in this world, my sensory self, my physical self decreases, and I align with the spiritual essence of who I am. Now, what I've been expecting something outside of myself to do, I do, because I be. That's why I say I am. And so what we have to really come out of this religious conversation that there's a separation. So even if we buy into or walk inside of that traditional sense of Jesus, the man came here, what did he came to do? He came to reconnect. He came to remind man. He came to help man remember. Remember means put things back together. We've been fragmented. We've been cut up. That's what the Assyrian, the whole Christian drama comes from the Assyrian story, where Assar was cut in 14 pieces. And it wasn't until the 14 pieces was put together by the Son, and then he was one. And so what we have to do is become one again. We've been segmented from God. And that's when the real ability to create manifests. As long as we are thinking that something other than ourselves, outside of ourselves, is going to do this thing, we don't get the thing.
I don't think that though.
Okay.
I
Well,
understand that.
okay, so here's the thing. You say you don't think that,
Yeah.
but you initially broke the scripture. Would you agree that you broke it down from this perspective that there is a separation?
No, I quoted it.
Okay, quote. Okay, good. So I'll give you that. So one of the things that when we quote it, so now remember I talked about neural pathways. We've been quoting it that way, and so it has programmed us that way. Even though we may have a new realization that we are one with God, that we are actually God, but the program is set that we are not one. So we got to make sure that the program is aligning with what you are speaking and standing and expecting. And that's why the beliefs are so important, that the word says, let a man examine him or herself. So we got to continually examine. So when it's not manifesting, first we have to say, the word works when you work it. So I must be working it. Must need to tweak it. And that's the part of the process of growing. until you can, I got this thing down. I know how it works. But don't get frustrated. You keep working it until it works, adjusting it. Now, back to was there an original question or a statement, or did that cover what you were addressing?
No, there was no original question. I very clearly am looking this 72-hour situation, and I'm very clear on what it is that I desire, and am in the steps of the day 1, 2, 3, and in those steps that you so eloquently laid out for us to do. Um, I guess again, my question is, okay, and that's being done, and so the tweaking, um, that's the part. It's like, okay, so tweak it how?
Mhm.
And so that would be, I'm sure, within my meditation time, my quiet time, um, with um, with the Most High, that I continue to figure it out.
You experience it. So you said something that's key. We have to make meditation, and I don't really like to use meditation because this takes us into more of a thinking from an Eastern religion. Quiet time. Down the time you have to come to reset, to recenter, to get quiet, to be still, to shut out the sensory part of who you are, and just to be present to the silence. And in the silence, just like when we look at the story of Jesus, we see that he spent a lot of time in what they said he was praying, when in reality, he was just in the silence. Because there's a scripture says that he was in the silence, that he can see what source was doing, that he can hear what source was saying. And he did no thing except he did what he saw and heard source doing, because he was source. So we got all the tools we need. We got all the scriptures we need. We got all the wisdom we need. We just now have to sit in it, steep in it. And for many of us, we have to reinterpret, because it was given to us by unenlightened eyes. But they were given to us that one day we would awaken, and then we'll understand what was really being said. That's what metaphysics is about. Beyond the apparent, getting deeper than the apparent. So that's that, it's a process. And don't give, we also here, don't be weary and well doing. You're doing well. And know that even though I say 72 hours, 72 hours is not 3 days in the sense of if I do it 3 days later, 3 physical days, but it represents a period of completion. Like that one day, that 124 hours can actually, the whole thing can be done when you get to the place of mastery. You can move from I set my intention, I cultivate my intention, I bask in it is already done. I'm rejoicing. I'm speaking as though people are looking at you crazy, because you're speaking as if you have this thing. We speak as if the past is still the present so much that sometimes people don't know the difference. And it could have been 40 years ago, but you're speaking as if it just happened yesterday. And that's what we have to get to when we in the art of creation. And when you say, and so it is, it is. It is finished. Awesome. Awesome. I saw another hand. I think Genevieve, no, I'm sorry, Myrna. Anything else?
No, thank you. And I think Cheryl had something too.
Okay. Know I saw Genevieve, and then I'll come right to you, Cheryl. Genevieve, if you're still with us, you can go ahead. I saw your hand up there.
Yes, I am. I'm still here. I was listening to the young lady and I was understanding when you were saying be still and know, and that is a true thing. And it's not necessarily the 72 hours, because sometimes you can put yourself in a state of still waiting, counting down the 72 hours when God said yes the first time we
Mm,
request. So it is done right when we ask, but what separate us is looking for it in the natural when it's already done. And you have to go as though it has already happened, because in spirituality it has. And what I found for me is I always ask myself, who am I being? Because it's not about the prayer, it's not about answer, but who are you being? And I can give an example. Today something happened and I didn't react or respond because I have acclimated myself to know that my prayers are answered. So if my prayers are answered and I know it, I'm convicted that what I have prayed about has already happened. I don't have to respond negatively because I believe. So
mm,
I'm being the new person. I'm telling the new story. And what is happening, I'm going through what we consider life, the 3D. It's going to be what it's going to be, but I am this new person. I am what I believe that I prayed about. I am this, me and my God are one. And I don't get caught up in the 72 hour, the 3 day. I just believe it now. And I'll give an example that I was believing for a financial blessing. And I started saying, I have this. I'm so thankful that I get money in surprising way. And I got an unexpected check from a company that said it was a refund for something that was years ago. And so that's where I learned to take myself out of the middle, because I don't know how it's going to happen. And that has helped me, the unexpected income and people gifting. So it can always happen that way. I've just learned to be present and positive, and for me, that means doing nothing. That means not having to do anything, not meaning to make anything happen, because we are God and we have to believe the power of our tongue, that when we say this is going to happen, it's going to happen. We just have to get out of the middle of it and go to the end of it and stop trying to control the outcome. Because,
yes.
like you said, we do too much. I learned for myself, I was doing too much. I was wanting to do too much. And as soon as I started to let go of a lot of things and lay back and not react, not respond, just became convicted in what I believe, whether I saw it or not. Things just started to appear. And even though I was believing for a financial blessing, I remember Matthew 12. I think it's no, Matthew 13:12, that those that have will have, and those that not. So I never speak that I don't have anything. And in the midst of believing for a financial blessing, I was still circulating. I try not to use the word spent, but circulating, know that it comes back. And I have seen that comes back. And anytime something come up in my mind regarding that I need a financial issue, or whatever the case may be, I just go within myself and say, God, take care of all of my financial needs. And it has always happened like that, because I have a conviction and mantra within myself that everything is always working out for me. Whether I can see what's happening, whatever, it is always working out for me. And I don't waver from that
Yes.
whatsoever.
Yes. So this thing is like an onion. You
Hmm.
keep peeling it back and you keep learning something. And so we
Yep.
learn from one another, just to get to the place of, so the 72 hours is a way to help individuals get to the state of, here's a process. But then there's
Hmm.
a process that you can just step inside of, ask, and it is done.
It is done right then. Yes.
Right, done.
Yes.
But most of us can't, we're not there yet. The moment we
Yes.
speak it, it's done.
It's done. It took me a minute to get to that point, to that
And it's not
understanding.
easy. It's
It is
not
not
easy.
easy, but when you, and I tell a lot of people, I have been committed to the commitment of myself, and I don't drive with the radio or music on. I'm always conscious, and if I'm driving, I'm speaking positive things, and even before I get in the car, I said I get the red carpet treatment no matter where I go, because you don't never know what that's going to be. So I said, people always complain about. I don't complain about anything. I just say wherever I am, I'm blessed. beyond measure. I've always get good thing, and that's anytime I'm in at home or in the car, whatever. So it's 20. My nephew said to me one time, we are 24/7. There are no days off. Meaning you can't be who you're going to be and then you get back into the world of things. So you're never off. So that's just something you just have to have with you. And when you think about it, sometimes we'll get off guard, but put yourself back on and you have those things that come up in your head to say you are not, you don't have, and you shut it down and say, no, I am. You have to, it's like our mind is like a animal that needs to be trained. You just have to keep
That's right.
telling yourself and keep telling yourself and keep telling yourself till you become convicted. Like you know what your name. If your name is Greg, you're not gonna answer somebody say James because you know your name is Greg. So that's how you have to become convicted in what you know who you are and what God has for you. And if God has laid a blessing or a gift on you, then you put it at his feet. This is what I need to bring this forth. Thank you, and keep it going.
Yes, that you said a mouthful, and I hope that the audience who is listening have gleaned something from that. That we have to really understand that we are more powerful than we have been taught to believe that we are.
Mhm.
Genevieve, thank you for sharing.
You're
Awesome.
welcome. Thank you.
Yes, Cheryl, you have the mic. Are you still with us, Cheryl? Do you still have something? Okay, I'll move around the room. Is there anybody else got anything you want to share before we wrap up tonight? I want to ask, can everybody give me one thing you walk away with tonight? Maybe it's a new concept, maybe something you got to think about. Can you give me one thing? So I'll just swing around the room. Angie B, how are you doing this evening? You have the mic. What's one takeaway you have tonight? Okay, Cheryl Clark. What's one takeaway you have tonight?
Hey, good evening. So it would be
Evening.
trust my subconscious.
Say that again.
Trust my subconscious.
Mm, mm. Can I unpack that for you?
Sure.
So we want to trust our subconscious alongside of Romans 12. It says, "Be ye
Okay.
transformed by the renewing."
Mm-hmm.
Because
Of our
we
mind.
have to renew our subconscious because it's been programmed. From the
Mm-hmm.
moment you dropped into this earth realm through the birthing canal, first 12 years of your life, it's been programmed. Now we have to, at this phase of our life, we have to step away from the place of familiarity and then unpack everything we've been given and say, does this work for me? And then you get to the place where you understand, well, this has not been working for me. I'm going to reprogram it. Then you get to the place, but ultimately, that's exactly we have to live. We live in alignment with the program that has been reset. We have to we got to get back to a factory reset. Yeah, you know what a factory reset is?
Like a default.
Yeah, now the factory reset is the original settings. So our original setting that is found in using the scriptures, Genesis chapter 1, that we were created in its image, after his likeness, we were divine spiritual beings. And then when we came into this world, the original factory settings were reset because we began to live according to the sensory self. And so now we need a reset to the factory settings, the perfect settings. Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. That's a great takeaway. Our we walk, we're guided, we live within our subconscious mind is everything, everything. Yeah, got a faulty subconscious program, you're going to have a faulty life. Thank you for that. Okay, let me look
Thank
around.
you.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Cheryl. Angie, are you back with us? Did you have anything you want to share? Okay, so I heard from, good evening, Mom. How are you doing? Anything you want to share? Okay, so we're going to move on. So here's what I want you to know. When we step into the green room,
I'm unmuted.
okay, there you go. I can hear you now.
Yeah. I'm doing good. I got a lot
What
out
one
of
thing you say you take away this evening?
the 72 hours.
72 hours. Now, I want you all to hear this. 72 hours is not a literal material world. It's not
I,
putting, it's not the clock. No, I'm not
I
saying,
understand that.
no, hear me, Mom. I'm speaking to the entire audience tonight. I want all of us to know when we say 72 hours, don't frame it inside of 3 days as in the way the world frames 3 days. You want to frame it inside of this is the process. Not so much the time, but the process. Okay?
I got it.
Okay, good. I just don't want anyone to walk away thinking in 72 hours things going to change from the Gregorian calendar or from the Swiss watch you wear. But we're talking about all things already done and you bringing yourself into alignment with it's already done. And those are the three processes that you should go through.
And
Awesome.
I agree.
Excellent. Excellent.
It
Excellent.
works.
Yeah, it works if you work it. That is correct. All right. So in the green room, most instructors, so I do a lot of seminars, they require you to come on camera. I'm not requiring you to come on camera. If you want to come on camera, you can. But I am asking that when you are given the opportunity to share a thought or a position, that you do so, because many times what you have to share will be a golden nugget for us or a teachable moment to reset maybe a faulty program. So I'm not calling anybody out inside of the green room. Everybody's green. Awesome. So that's all I have this evening. Again, I hope something's been said that's been uplifting and encouraging. I will clean this up and package it, and I'll get it to you all along with an assignment. So if you want to play it back, you can play it back just by going to the YouTube channel under the live, and then you will see it there. But if you want to play it back in its refined form, stick around and I'll get that to you. All right. I don't have anything else. I don't see any other hands up. You guys have a wonderful evening. Peace.